Senate District 23. Today we'll be holding a regular meeting of the committee to study the safety of residents and employees in long-term care facilities. Before we get started, I'll read through a checklist to ensure that the meeting we are holding is in compliance with the right to know law. As chair of the committee to study the safety of residents and employees in long-term care facilities, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04 and its extensions, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note, sorry, my phone's wrong. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. In accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possible by video and other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee and selected legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously in this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously watch and or listen to the meeting on Zoom or YouTube and via phone by following the directions and links provided on the General Report website. We have provided public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting in the Senate calendar. We're providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please email remote Senate, that's one word, at leg.state.nh.us or call 603-271-3043. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, it will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Finally, let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state where they are and if anyone else is in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. I will call the roll. Senator Ward?
I'm at my home and started. I'm alone in the room.
Representative Stringham?
Yes, I am in Lincoln and I'm alone in my office.
Representative Birch?
And good morning. I am alone in Westmoreland and present.
And Representative McMahon?
Good morning. I'm in my home office in Windham, and I am alone.
Thank you, Representative. And I am Senator John Morgan. I am in Exeter, New Hampshire. I am alone in the room, but may be interrupted by any of my three kids that are here in the house with me. All right. Good morning to you all. So we've all received the draft report. I would just like to open it up for discussion amongst all of us. Please feel free to just share your thoughts, your perspectives, any issues that you have with the report, which is now in its draft version, but is extremely comprehensive. And I will, for the very last time, embarrass Cameron for his hard work and diligence in putting this together. So thank you, Cameron. You did a great job. So just jumping down to where I'm at is the findings and the recommendations portion of the report. But I would love to hear any feedback, thoughts, edits, suggestions that we can be adding or altering in what is now the draft final report.
Okay, I'll start. I think the findings are pretty much what we were discussing. We have found social isolation and problem with people when they can't see their loved ones. It sort of makes it even worse for those with cognitive decline. As far as the recommendations go, I think they're all very valuable. I do think that some of those could be put together in, well, some of the points could be put together in one point. I have a question. The Office of Long-Term Ombudsman should be given access to long-term care facilities. Who does that? That's one question. And we talked about the pay scale for people working in healthcare. And it's my personal opinion that healthcare workers have never really been appreciated for what they do. And I will be curious as to what is the pay scale for the different levels of nursing care. And as far as I'm concerned, salary should reflect the level of responsibility and education and training of those particular people. So those are some of my comments.
Thank you, Senator. Senator, are you making any particular suggestions in terms of the language before us, or are these things that potentially we could collaborate on should both you and I be privileged enough to be reelected?
Yeah, I guess we could do that. But for example, on the section under point 2, create and address staffing shortage and have stipends. And we also talk about the community college system should expand their program, and healthcare partners from other states should be able to work in New Hampshire. And those to me seems to be sort of things that belong together, excuse me. And whether we discuss them now or you and I at some later date try to solidify some of these things, it's whatever works.
Sure. I mean, how do Representative Birch, Stringham, McMahon, how do you feel about combining a couple of those items as Senator Ward just mentioned?
I'm personally comfortable with it. So.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it also. I have a sense that if somebody wants to read through the minutes, the summaries of testimony, and the recommendations, they will get a very thorough and complete sense of the work and the conclusions that have been presented to this committee. It's a good document.
Cameron, Representative McMahon, is that okay with you if we combine a couple of those items together, as they seem to be associated with each other?
If I may, it's Rep. McMahon speaking. Relative to focusing on what my colleague, Madam Ward, spoke of in terms of compensation, specifically in facilities, and also one that I've personally had a lot of testimony on it within Health and Human Services regarding in-home care. I have found that when a broad statement is done, it gives too many silos having to be participants until a recommendation for action takes place. And that being said, I was wondering if we could consider having a recommendation of focusing on not just salaries, but it's just a structure for hourly rates that don't have an implied cap, because that's what I learned last year in this, that there is not a definitive cap in rules, but it's within the system of Department of Health and Human Services, there's a cap on rates of pay. And I'm talking now for in-home care, community care, when you're looking at outside of just the nursing homes or assisted living. And with that being said, is having that recommendation on, I mean, a living wage is a debating point. It's having the needs being matched by like what we have with our area agencies that are the doorway for the funding from the department to the respective individual. So I was looking there in terms of not that if we put it all together, then we would have to have another study committee to determine the different silos that have to come in and testify again. So I was looking at if there was but with a recommendation for a bill to address funding for the services that can work with CMS on that particular item to meet what Madam Ward spoke about, and both in structural locations and also for in-home care. And that's what I've been struggling with, after, reading. When I say struggling, not struggling with it, it's what I've lived with, and on the committee too. Is
Sure.
to attract people to take these jobs and stay with them and keeping and helping people like while we're young, while they're older, but to do it now.
So Representative, I definitely appreciate those comments. Are there, in terms of the current, currently we have 15 recommendations, and I see just on the issues that you touched on, recommendation
12.
yeah, so 12, 12, 8, 9 potentially, potentially 10, all touched on. Oh, and 14 potentially.
Yes.
So Representative, I guess my question to you that I'm posing to you is, are you able to propose language that you would like to see combining those points that are currently in the recommendations part of the document?
Yes, I mean, and dealing with the narratives that Mr. Lepine's done very well with, and the team members, is having that cooperative collaboration regarding that subject matter in not one statement per se, but one directive that
So
could give
one
guidance.
recommendation that encompasses all of those items.
Yes, just so it's not trifurcated, if you will. It's dealing with compensation.
Okay.
But that was that's what I was been reading about and thinking of asking if that would be considered.
And I think the way that would look is you probably start with 14, then put the sentence from number 9 after that, and then 12 after that. And basically 9, because I think that's the idea, is to have a committee look, potentially have a committee look at it. And then those two things, it sounds like, would be topics of inclusion in the issue of wages for healthcare workers. Would you agree with that, Mr. Representative McMahon? Am I catching that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, just outside of just rereading it, and then with our collective experience and how it goes through the process, of whether the House and the Senate, one is to have that discussion where it could trigger the foundation for a bill to be filed. And one thing that I've learned, and I don't mean to go too much detail here, but I make this statement. I have found that before it gets to finance, we have to show what's the cost of doing something versus doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that from that fundamental basis, it's putting that together that we have the holistic approach to solving when I say solving, or helping to resolve this challenge of need. And it's the funding, as usual, does play a major role.
Great.
Got a few thoughts.
Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I tend to think on different committees and commissions, I'm hopeful that we stay reasonably close to the parameters of our charge. And as much as I may support the broader concepts of funding and wages that Representative McMahon talks about, my sense is we would do well to have our report focus on the issues of nursing homes and long-term care facilities. It's not to disparage the other, but just to say that we have a particular remit to pay attention to. And in that context, I guess I also wanted some point to discuss the last question, with the last recommendation, number 15, involving design of nursing homes. Having spent over 2, maybe 3 years working in Cheshire County on that specific issue of design of nursing homes, I understand the complexities and the many ways to approach that. Again, I'm not sure that that's within what our recommendations and our job is to do in terms of the safety and welfare of residents of long-term facilities and nursing homes. There's pluses and minuses to green homes. It's a complicated issue. We borrowed some concepts and rejected others because we didn't think it was a good match for our population of mostly dementia patients. So I'm just not sure that, as much as I think it's an important conversation, I know a lot about it, that that's really part of what our remit is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, I think given, you know, health, safety, wellness of long-term care facilities, that probably all kind of ties together because it is so broad, particularly when you talk about wellness of the residents. I'm happy. That's my perspective. Obviously, I'm happy to.
Yeah, part of it is, you know, more study committees and more study committees and more study committees.
Yeah, that I have that same exact feeling, Representative.
Yeah, that sometimes gets in the way of actually getting legislation on the table.
Activity does not equal progress.
Yeah. Except for our committee, of course.
Well, you know, we have some very substantive meat, as Representative Stringham put it, and these recommendations, and I'm very pleased with the work that we were able to do in such an incredibly short amount of time. I think that's.
Well, I think certainly the 5 first points directly relate to our charge.
Senator Ward, I was trying to compile. So I have for pay and wages, I have numbers 2, 9, 10, 12, and 14.
Mm-hmm.
For staffing, I was trying to look at staffing issues. So I have 2, 3, 7. I missed 6. 2, 3, 6, 7. And 13. So pay 2, 9, 10, 12, 14. Cam, are you 2, 9, 10, 12, 14? That's pay and wages. Staffing 3, 6, 7, 13. And then we have a member. I would like to, if the committee has no further specific input on the recommendations, while Cam is telling us compiling which numbers we have left, and to see if we can combine them in specific subsets under the recommendations. I was gonna, it looks like Cheryl Steinberg has her hand raised, may want to give us some input, and I would like to ask any of the members of the public before we finalize any report to share with us, you know, their thoughts and an extra set of eyes like they can provide as subject matter experts may just remind us of anything that we may have overlooked before finalizing the report. But I want to make sure that everyone on the committee has completed their thoughts on this.
Mhm.
Yep, Mr. Chairman, in respect to all, and Senator Ward and all the members, when I was basing my contribution in the conversation was in the charge of the committee when it said in the fourth line, staffing and human resource adequacy. That's what I was basing my commentary on that. So when folks said, was this part of the original charge? That's what I saw as the supporting gravitas, if you will, of stating that that it is. And because that's quite a large subject matter, but that's where I was coming from regarding the compensation functions.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate. Thank you, Representative. All right. If nothing further from the committee, can we invite Carol Steinberg to? Ms. Steinberg, thank you so much for joining us. If you would just unmute yourself, we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Oh, hi. Hello, this is Cheryl. Sorry, it was a mistake. I didn't intentionally raise my hand. I'm walking my dogs, and I think I don't know, it's some button pushed, but so I apologize.
No worries. No worries
But
at all.
I will comment just since I missed the very beginning of the meeting, and I appreciate what Representative Birch is saying. But and your comments about study committees, but I'm at a loss to think about what else we can do to look at the rebalancing issue. And I'm open to if people, I understand yet another study committee, but if there isn't a study committee, then I guess nothing's going to happen, right? I don't know, unless there's some other way to address the issue within the legislature. So I don't disagree in a lot of ways, but I do think this issue of rebalancing is critical, and I do think it directly relates to nursing home residents, because a lot of them don't need to be there, and they're being harmed because they're there right now. So that's my take on it, that I do think it is. I realize in many ways it is beyond the scope of what your committee is supposed to do, but I do think it relates. And so obviously, because I asked for it, I think it would be good to include something about it in your report. And I, again, not expecting you to resolve the issue, because it is a huge issue. So anyway, that's all I'll say.
Well, thank you, Ms. Steinberg. And if we do another study committee or commission, for that matter, maybe one that has more than 4 weeks to do its work will be helpful.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy walking your dogs.
Thank you.
Can we call in Alex, please?
Yes, thank you very much for allowing me to say something today. I did miss the beginning, like Cheryl did as well. I'm Alex. I'm from the Inn at Parker Station. I do operate a small assisted living home in Goffstown. And I would like to know, is there already access to your draft so that we can, as providers, review and share our thoughts as well? That's the first question that I have. And the second one.
The draft, Sonia, Cam, the draft is in the Senate calendar?
The draft report is posted on the General Court website. The committee has a specific website where all of our documents have been posted. Okay, I will try and find that. And just listening to you, yes, we do certainly have a shortage in staffing. But my home has more than 50% of Medicaid recipients, and that's where we go back to the golden question, how and when will the reimbursement rate be increased? Because we cannot afford to pay $15, $18 for a PCA
if Medicaid is kind of very limited in what we do get. I mean, we do get roughly $52, 51 per day per Medicaid resident, plus whatever the resident chips in, which can be as little as 30. So you get up to $80 max per day for a Medicaid recipient. And there's just not enough meat to pay staff rates that they do certainly deserve.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. And Cam, can we just make sure that we get the substance of Alex's input, particularly around Medicaid reimbursement rates?
Mhm.
And
Alex, could you give your last name for the record?
Yes, certainly Aman, which is AMANN.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you, Mr. Eman. Any further input from members of the public? If you would please raise your hands, or if it looks like you're all joining us by Zoom, but is that correct, Sonia? Because I can see their names. Yeah. Okay. All right. Seeing none, Cam, we have pay and wages. We have subsections for pay and wages. If we could combine those, not necessarily in one number, but I'm just saying combine those so that they're grouped together. So 2, 9, 10, 12, 14. Staffing 3, 6, 7, 13. What does that leave us with?
All right, so that leaves us with 1, 4, 5, 8, 14, and 15.
14 should be under
Yep, there it is. Yep.
A.
Yep.
Okay. So here is my, so hold on. 1, protections against price gouging. Yep, that's important. 4, long-term care. 5, increase access to COVID. 8, testing for COVID. 15. Future design of long-term care facilities. Okay. So so my proposal to the committee for the final report is that we group pay and pay wages, staffing, to pay wages under one group, staffing issues under a secondary subset, and then numbers 1, 4, 5, 8, and 15 are all, I don't see I mean, a couple of them are COVID related, but I don't know if we need a specific COVID subset. I think it's only 2, it's 2 of them under there. Potentially 3.
I guess 5 and 8 are about testing.
Yeah. But I mean, I would be comfortable with 1, 4, 5, 8, and 15. I guess we could seek to tie some of them together, like you said, Representative. There's testing, involved there, but I would be comfortable having those 3 subgroups: pay and wages, staffing, and then other category.
Operational?
Operational. Thank you. That's a great suggestion, Representative. Any edits to, or how do, I guess before that, how do we feel about grouping them together as opposed to combining them as recommendations? Senator Ward, I'm more directing that to you. You had the first recommendation of.
I like the idea of grouping them for
Okay.
subject matter. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Well, great. So we have pay, wages, staffing, we have operational. I like the way that that's set up. If there is no further input from the committee, I would accept a motion to approve the final report.
So moved.
No, second.
Second. Oh,
Excellent. Thank you both. Let me just pull up the. Oh, I don't need to do the roll. All right. We're ready to vote on finalizing this as the final report with the changes that we have made, grouping the final recommendations. Senator Ward, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Birch,
yes.
Representative Stringham,
Yes.
Representative McMahon,
Yes.
and Senator Morgan is a yes. Great. Well, friends, thank you so much for working on this. With me, it really was a privilege to dive into such an incredibly important issue with you in such a short time frame, but in this kind of historic time, as well as our long-term care facilities are dealing with multiple crises simultaneously in the second oldest state in the nation. And it really was a privilege to work with all of you. I'm hopeful that we can continue our work together in the next term, should the people of our districts see to it that we deserve another shot at going back up there. But thank you all so much. It really was a privilege to work with you.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to
Minutes?
vote on the minutes of the last meeting?
Oh, that's a good call. We should probably do that. I'll take a motion.
I so move we adopt the minutes.
And I'll second.
Great. And Senator Ward,
Yes.
Representative Birch,
Yes.
Representative Stringham,
Yes.
Representative McMahon,
Yes.
and Senator Morgan is a yes. Great. If there is no further business.
I
just
would,
wanna-
well, if I could jump first, I want to thank you, Senator Morgan, for your great leadership. I'm so grateful for the many, many highly insightful people that came and talked before this committee. Commission has been quite a ride, learned a lot, and I'm really hopeful that there'll be some meaningful changes to make life even better in long-term care. But I especially wanted to thank you and Cameron for great leadership and work.
Thanks, Representative.
Good job.
Representative Birch.
In a similar vein, I want to express my appreciation both to the staff that has made this happen so smoothly, as well as my fellow members. This has been a study committee of great depth, and it's been an uncommon pleasure to work with each and every one of you. And it would be nice to think that we're all going to work on a similar committee next year.
Thank you, Representative.
Right.
All right. Well, with that, Sonia, Cameron, thank you both sincerely. You guys did incredible work with this and making it run so smoothly. And I wish everyone well, stay safe, and look forward to seeing you all again at some point soon.
Thank you,
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Senator.
I'll second it.
Great. Senator Ward,
Yes.
Representative Birch,
Yes.
Representative Stringham,
Yes.
and Representative McMahon.
Yes.
Senator Morgan's a yes. Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thank you.